rows, brothers and sisters rows behind. You're meeting
Yeah, it's like mom stuff, yeah.
Okay, so you, who are you here with?
I'm Leslie's son.
So, you got mom and who else?
Just my mom is with me.
Okay, Don and who?
He's by himself.
Okay, so the rest of the family should be able to.
Yeah, I think so, because mom and dad will.
Right, wonderful.
Electronics here, right? They got a lot of that stuff. Electronics. When they're done in there. What do you think of the garbage? It's not bad. Nobody did.
Yes, 9 hours.
9 hours of yeah, so we can watch this.
Good morning. My name is Rabbi Elda Doon, and it is my sad privilege to be with all of you today. We begin our service with the chanting of the 23rd Psalm, then we're going to recite it in English afterwards. If you know the words, you may please feel free to join me. Adonai Rohi lo echsar Minot sheyarbitzeni al mei menuchot yenaleni nafshi yeshover yancheni b'magli tzedek Yancheni b'magle tzedek leman shemo Gam ki elech b'geit al mavet lo hirara ki ata imadi shiftecha u'mishandecha Hey Mayan Chuni Taroch lefanai Shulchan keneged sorerai Dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya Ach tov chesed yardefuni kol yamei chayai veshavati beveit Adonai leorech yamim Adonai roi Lo echsar. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod, they give me comfort. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all of the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. So long as we live, she too will live, for she is now a part of us as we remember Sally. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, joy to gratitude, pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead we see that victory lies, not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. And today we celebrate the life of Sally. Sally's journey of more than 88 years began in Shaker Heights, Ohio, where she was born on March 8, 1934, to Arthur and Olive Schaefer. She was the youngest of three, having two older brothers, Artie and Jim. Sally attended Shaker Heights High School and then went to the University of Miami in Florida. In 1953, she married her husband of 51 years, Larry R. Gottfried, and the two of them went on to have their four children, Leslie, Ellen, Donald, and Gloria. In 1960, Sally and Larry moved to Harrison, New York, where Sally embraced her volunteer work in public schools, her local synagogue, the Jewish community of Harrison, and the organization that would be in her life for years thereafter, the Girl Scouts. Sally would forever influence the girls she interacted with, empowering them so meaningfully they would stay closely connected with Sally for years thereafter. For Sally, this was not a job, rather an opportunity to create long-lasting relationships and help young women feel connected. Sally lived her life trying to bring people together. Her children fondly recall that she would often entertain and welcome people into their home. She was everybody's caretaker. Whether she was cooking, baking, playing little practical jokes like slipping a rubber snake into your bed, Sally made it her life's purpose to show her love. It is no surprise that one of her favorite movies was It's a Wonderful Life. Like the guardian angel Clarence Oddbody, Sally reminded those around her that life is worth living. And she was exquisite at creating something from nothing. While some may dread a long car ride, Sally would keep all of her passengers entertained for hours on end, speaking in funny accents, reading road signs in silly voices, and goofing around with her co-star Larry. where the inside jokes were abundant. Her children reminisce those joyous moments and how it changed their lives. Even in their most painful moments, where tears were shed, her children affectionately remember her saying, "Have you had a good cry?" They would say yes. "Now, what do you need to get up?" She taught them to lead with courage and helped surface their strength while carrying them with her loving embrace. Sally had a thirst for life. As a young person, she may have initially come off as demure, but there was always something cooking inside of her. Her quiet flair was always present, so much so that even when she greeted people at the dentist, a distant favorite activity for anyone, people came to expect her warm smile behind the reception desk. She was even able to penetrate the hearts of complete strangers. She loved meeting new people and making them feel comfortable at work, at home, or wherever she was. Whether she was dancing the jitterbug, playing piano, performing musical theater, or slipping a note into your lunch bag or luggage, Sally was always bringing joy and affection to the lives of those she loved. She has left everyone with meaningful stories, a smile, and life lessons. May her memory be for a blessing, Zichrona Livracha, and together we all say, Amen. At this time, I would like to invite her children to share their memories and stories with us, starting with Gloria.
I'm so touched that you all are here. That's like making me tear up more than anything else. So I'm number 4 of 4, and I put together a list of things I learned from my mother. And I had to add a prologue because her first thing was never forget the Kleenex or a hanky. So I have mine ready. Okay, number 1, nobody cares what you're wearing to an event or a party, especially after a glass of wine. And this also holds true about you not caring about what you're wearing after a glass of wine. Sally would also say that everyone's so worried about what they're wearing that they don't care what you're wearing. Number 2, go to that party or gathering even if you don't feel like it. Chances are you'll have a good time once you're there. Additionally, Sally's advice was to leave the party while you're still having fun. Number 3, Sally taught me how to be brave. When I was young, Mom witnessed me watching my friends go on the Dragon Coaster, which was a roller coaster at Rye Playland in New York, because I was scared. I'd watch all my friends go, but I didn't want to go. And for my 10th birthday, she surprised me by taking me to Playland, just the 2 of us. I had a summer birthday, so that worked out, and I was thrilled. The only caveat, though, is that I had to ride the Dragon Coaster with her before we could go on any other rides. So I did it, and I loved it, and I was so glad that she did that, and then I made her go on the bumper cars with me. That was my favorite ride. Number 4, how to make a hospital corner with the top sheet. Sally made a bed like no one else I've ever known. It was neat, sheets tucked or untucked, just the right spots to make it look really magazine-worthy, but also comfortable and cozy. And she brought that feeling to every room in her house, making everyone feel instantly at home. Bathrooms always had extra toothbrushes, Q-tips, cotton balls, paper cups. You rarely needed to ask for anything because it was always there. She thought about just about everything. Number 5, clean up after yourself. Sally went back to work when I was in 3rd grade, and so I was often home before everyone else. In middle school, I would often have friends over after school, and we'd have snacks, hang out, watch TV, typical teenage stuff. My friends would often leave before my mom got home from work, and one day, Mom walked through the door to a mess in the kitchen. She took one look at it and told me, I'm going on strike from preparing dinner until the kitchen is clean, and went to her bedroom and shut the door. I quickly scurried to clean up the kitchen and living room, and after that, I made my friends help me clean up before they left for the day. Number 6, Sally taught me how to have fun and be silly. We moved to our house on Shawnee Trail in Harrison, New York, when I was in elementary school. And the downstairs bathroom, which was also the powder room, was adjacent to the master bedroom bathroom, or primary, we say primary bedroom now, okay. So one day, I was using the toilet in the powder room and realized that my mom was in her bathroom. I did a quick dun, 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 to which a minute later, I heard a dun, dun. So this continued on. She responded back with a knock, knock, and that started a long history of love knocks on the walls when we suspected that one of us was in the other bathroom. Number 7, Mom always had my back. When older brother Donnie forced a piece of Gainsburger dog food into my mouth because I wouldn't stop singing a jingle from a dog food commercial, Mom made Donnie eat a dog biscuit as punishment. This is what I thought of in the middle of the night. Share. When I got sent home from day camp one summer with a strange rash, Mom took me to the doctor, and I was diagnosed with German measles. As the doctor was getting ready to leave the room, he looked at Sally and said, "You look a little red too. Have you ever had the German measles?" Yep, she had it. And we kicked Dad out of his side of the bed and shared the bedroom for 7 to 10 days. I thought it was fun. Mom, not so much. All right, number 9, back to the main. Let people know you're thinking about them. This was accomplished through randomly placed short notes on your pillow, in your purse or luggage, on the steering wheel of your car. One of my most memorable notes was found during a drive back to Chicago from Vermont when Sally had made Mike and I sandwiches to eat for lunch that day. Mike was driving, so I took my turn to eat first. About two bites in, I was having trouble chewing my bite, and only to find on closer inspection that Sally had placed a note saying, "I love you, drive safely," in between the turkey and the cheese. Not kosher, sorry. Where am I? 9, 10. Tell those you love that you love them. When I was young, Mom would say, "I love you," and then I would say, "I love you more." And then she would say, "I love you more." And this would go on and on until one day, one of us told the other, "I love you more, no backs." And that meant you couldn't say it anymore. We kept this going well into adulthood when our notes and letters would, instead of the usual "I love you" sign off, read ILYMNB. And that sort of transferred to some other people that I know. To Don would do that. So ILYMNB was a common sign off with us. It still is. And then lastly, and most importantly, Sally taught me about love. Almost every night when I was young, I would ask Mom to come tuck me in. I enjoyed seeing her before I shut my eyes at night, and if something was bothering me, she would allay my fears or concerns and or tell me not to go to bed mad. She would often scratch my back while singing this lullaby, which she also sang to me at my bat mitzvah, and I sang to my girls when they were young. See if I can get through this. La 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 la, Hashabai. La 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 la, la, don't you cry. La 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 la, la, Hashabai. Mama won't go away. Sleep in my arms while you still can. Childhood is but a day. Even when you're a great big girl, Mama won't go away. And next in order is Don.
You kind of covered it all there, Glo. I sing that song to my daughter when she was growing up, Ella. And thank you, I love that. And I have a note here on my phone that's on my dresser. It's actually, I have a mirror on my dresser, and it's been there. And I don't know when it was, but it had to be more than 10 or 12 years ago when Mom, I think it was when she came to visit us while she still lived in Cleveland. We moved Mom to near me, and I think it was 2011, right? So like 12 years ago. And so this would have been from before then. I know it's a yellow Post-it pad that I had. And it says, you can see it later, I love, with the heart, the O is a heart, I love you so much, in big letters underlined, and then it's signed the fairy mom, and with little hearts around that. So thanks for that, Glow. So Mom would want you to know that I'm her little boy, okay? And she reveled in any time, from the time I was taller than she was, which, was like 5 years old, right? But especially when I was in high school and I would go into the dental office she was in, and she would introduce me either to people who were there, patients, or could be the doctor, like when I came here when she was working for some of the first times. She'd stand next to me, and I was a head taller than her. She'd say, "This is my little boy," and she loved that. And I also want you to know that she let me know frequently that I was her favorite son, okay? So the last week and a half, Mom passed on Friday the 6th in the morning, has been, I would call it a revelatory experience for me. And as a kid, your mom is just your mom, right? And there's all this stuff I know about her that she did, but it didn't really hit home. When you're a kid, it's just all about you, right? And, so it's really been special to hear the stories and see and just really connect with who she was, not as my mom, and as my mom too, the thing I realized, so, Mom had been in this advanced state of Alzheimer's for several years, and, and I was kind of like, well, she's kind of already gone, right? And so there's not much else to do here other than wait, which is really kind of what was going on. And I just was, living my life, right? But I did think of her. There's always things that remind me of her, but it wasn't. I just kind of thought, this is over. We just got to get it done with. And then when she finally passed, I realized what a weight was lifted from me, certainly, and I think others. But I didn't even realize it was there, and until she was gone, and I realized it's a weight lifted from her too. And so since then, there's just been a flood of memories, some of which I'll share with you. And every morning I wake up. We were on vacation last week, and it was amazing, and it was sad, but it was a beautiful place to be, to think about her and connect with her. And this morning I woke up and I thought, I don't know why, that she loved wrens. Do you remember that? And she would have these wren houses, specifically because the hole was small enough that only the wrens could get it, that she put up, because they had a beautiful song, right? This sort of lyrical, complicated song, and she loved that. And every spring they'd come back around the same week in May every year. And now, of course, I hear the wrens, and I always think of her. And Sally was just, she was light and love and music and love and art. She was an artist and love, and now that's back for me. And she's now, I'm grateful that she's now free. That's really it. And she's free to be here with us. And I realized that weight was sitting on top of me, and I suspect more than just me as well. And now I'm grateful that she's now free, and she's here with us. So I'll share some of those, a handful of stories. Sally was, one of the things you think of as fun, funny, sweet. And Rabbi, thank you so much. I mean, you really captured her. And she was a little mischievous, right? The pranks. And she was smart, so I thought of yesterday as I was leaving the house and the football game was on. Sally just went out of her way, everything she did for everybody. And so my dad liked to watch sports, and she wanted to be involved with that. So she she would try and learn the rules of sports. And she knew them, and she could sit down and watch, an NFL game and kind of get it in baseball. But then in her mischievousness, we would be watching a football game. It was clearly football season, and Mom would walk through the living room and go, "Hey guys, what inning is it?" Or if it was, baseball, she'd go, "What quarter is it?" And then one thing that came to mind, they had friends, Mom and Dad, that they met in New York when they lived there, Charlie and Sally Smith, and they were an older couple, older than Mom and Dad, and Charlie was the proverbial dirty old man. He was faithful as could be to his wife, but he loved to tell stories, and he was a real prankster. And so they would have a couple of drinks. Mom would invite them over for dinner, and then they'd sit down for dinner, and Charlie would excuse himself at some point during the dinner, and he'd walk around the house, and he'd tilt all the paintings. And so, but nobody noticed it till the next morning when they were sobering it, and Mom was like, "Oh, God, Charlie was here." So, and I don't know if he ever learned who did this. I think he did, but Mom, just because she wanted to play these gags on him, she would write these postcards. She got a bunch of postcards, and she would address them from some, exotic woman in different countries around the world. And she'd address it to him, and then she would give it to Uncle Artie, our Uncle Artie, Kathy and Steve's dad. And he traveled a lot. And so she said, "Look, every city you go to, could you put a stamp on these and send it to Charlie?" And Charlie would get these things from these women all around the world, and he never knew where they were coming from. And he would tell Mom and Dad, like, "I don't know where these are coming from." And I don't know if he ever found out. But, and she loved them. And that was her way of showing her love for Charlie and Sally. And then, Glo talked about love. I mean, just if you had to use one word to describe Mom, it was just always love. And I mentioned the note I had, but I remember one story. It was probably around the time I was in high school, not that it matters, but she had decided that I needed a desk in my room. I was very studious, and so she went out and she looked into it, and she found this desk, and she brought it home. She had them loaded up in the car, and then we got home, and I was helping her take it out of the station wagon and get it in the house, and it was kind of unbalanced, and it sort of flipped over and fell on a corner, and it smashed the corner of this desk. And oh my God, Sally was so distraught, so hurt, and so sad that this thing that she'd worked so hard to find for me, and she was crying right there, and I felt terrible that she felt terrible, but we finally picked it up and we went inside, and it just meant so much to me that she cared so much about this thing, probably more than I did, but I got that she wanted this for me, right? And so then, just like you said, and just like the rabbi said about Sally had this ethos of, all right, have your cry and then pick yourself up, which, by the way, her story was that she got from her mother, right? Sally would have a good cry, and Ma, we called her, would come in and say, "Okay, you had a good cry? Yeah, okay, well, what do you got to, now get up, and what do you got to do to get on with your life?" And so this exhibited that as well. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to go buy another desk. It's still serviceable. And so she got some, wood putty, and she made it all good. And it still always had that. You could still always see it. But every time I saw it for the rest of my life, it reminded me of her love for me, right? And and then really the most amazing thing, for me was, and this I've been thinking about for a couple of days, is just who she was for all these other people. I mean, I knew it, right? But it's really just finally, since she's passed, settled in for me. And I got out of the shower yesterday before I was getting to the airport, and all of a sudden, it sort of dawned on me, like, how lucky was I, to have this woman as my mother, and never realized that she was this person to everybody she ever met and knew, and to other, she was a surrogate mother to many girls in Girl Scout, to Kathy, I know, and others, and Steve and RD, and I'm just so fabulously lucky to have had her as my mom, and and not even realize what a special person she was. I mean, obviously I did, but I think it's a perfect example of and what her life was about is that that love is amazing, and that the more of it you give, it doesn't diminish; it grows. And I think Sally's life was a perfect example of that. That's really it. And then last night we were sitting around the Morrison Hotel, the Morrison's suite there, having some dinner, and the Morrison girls in particular, but Nate was there as well. We're just being silly and laughing and giggling, mostly talking about digestion, we'll call it, right? And I was like, she's here, so I love you, Mom, and I miss you, but you're here with us always. Thank you.
So I'm the oldest, and I was the experiment child, and the one that was told no the most. Before I start, I just want to acknowledge that our sister Ellen, we wish that she was here, and we miss her. And so I agree with everything that Donnie and Glo shared, and my life was very similar. And the past couple weeks, just speaking to different family members and friends, like our growing up friends, I realized, we all experienced her in a different way. And she's with us through those memories and that. And, like Dawn was saying, that we learned how to do things from nothing. And, it's funny how she loved to have her company over, her friends, and a lot of times we weren't really around, but Ellen and I used to like to do these skits, and she allowed us to do a skit while she had company, and one of us was the vacuum cleaner salesman, and we came into the living room and threw dirt on the floor, and we had this really old vacuum cleaner, and it didn't have a bag in it, so when we were they were all sitting at the dinner table. We were vacuuming, and this dirt was flying out toward the dinner table. And, and then one time, we were always, whenever she baked, we were always sticking our fingers into the frosting. And she was having company that night, and she baked this beautiful chocolate cake. And she said, "Don't you kids, I don't want to see any fingers in there. If you do, you're going to be punished." Well, oh my God, how can you leave a chocolate cake without sticking your finger or having a taste of it? So we came up with this idea. We cut the whole center out of the cake. We took that whole piece out. I think it was either me or Ellen. We stuffed it back with paper towels and frosted over it. So she took out the cake. She brings it out to the guests, and she's like, "Oh my God, the kids, they listen to me. They haven't done anything." And she starts cutting into it, and she couldn't cut into the center. Like, oh, did it not cook in the center? Like, what happened? And when she pulls the first piece out, she sees this wad of paper towels. And so, she affected everyone's life differently, and including our friends who, one of them actually was a friend of Ellen's, shared with me an experience that Mom had taken him and Ellen to go ice skating at Playland, and he had never ice skated before, and he never would have gotten to do that if Mom hadn't taken them. So, it's through those memories and experiences that we'll remember her always. And I love her, and she was a great mom, and thank you.
Thank you for sharing those really beautiful and very messy memories with us. They are really stories to hang on to, and that is the way we keep her alive in our hearts. I will never look at chocolate cake the same way. At this time, if you are able, I invite you to please rise as we do the chanting of the El Maleh Rachamim, our memorial prayer, as we ask God to accept Sally's soul. El Maleh Rachamim, shochen במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושין הטהורין, כי הזוהר הרקיע מזהירין, את משמתה שלחה לעולמה, בגן עדן תהיה מנוחתה. אנא בעל הרחמים, הסתיריה בסתר כנפיה לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of your divine presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto Sally, who has gone to her eternal home. Author of mercy, bring her under the shelter of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. May you be her inheritance, and may her repose be in peace. And together we all say, Amen. You may be seated. At this time, we have concluded this portion of our service. And if anyone would like to make a donation in honor of Sally's life, the family has asked that the donation be sent to the Girl Scouts of the USA at girlscouts.org.
You'll remain seated. We'll bring your coat to you. You'll identify. Do I have anyone, grandchildren, family members that wish to be pallbearers with the casket? If you'll come forward, those who wish to be pallbearers, then it is considered an honor. Okay, those who wish to pallbearers,
Follow me, please. Pallbearers, follow me.
You're wonderful. I was like, oh, this is what I want when I die. Oh, my goodness. We won't know that for a very long time. I know. Yeah. It's so beautiful, and then all the kids are like, this is exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. Made that happen.
The family will follow, friends and family will follow behind the rabbi. Those who are going to the cemetery, you're going to have to return to your cars, put on your headlights and your hazard flashes. I thank you all for attending.